Hello students. Today we are starting 7th chapter from your book Vistas. Evans tries an O level. Students, Evans is the name of a criminal. He is a prisoner. As you can see in the picture that there is a man who is standing behind the bars. This is a picture of a prisoner whose name is Evans. He is a criminal and he has escaped from the prison for the 3 times. And now this is the 4th time he is planning how to escape from the prison. So this is the part of his planning that he demands that he wants to be an educated person. He wants to clear the exam of O level. So he tries an O level examination. So that's why the title of the chapter is Evans tries an O level. Evans, who is a prisoner, he tries an exam of O level. So students, we will read in the chapter how Evans escaped from the prison and how he tries an O level exams. So this is the brief introduction to the chapter. So now let's continue chapter in detail. It was in early March when the secretary of the examinations board received the call from Oxford prison. Now this was the month of March, and the secretary of the examinations board, he received a telephonic call from Oxford prison. It's a slightly unusual request, Governor, but I don't see why we shouldn't try to help just the one fellow you say. Now, these words are spoken by the secretary. When he is on the phone, he is talking to someone else. There is conversation between two persons. There is call from the Oxford prison. And it was the call from governor, and the secretary of the examinations board is talking to governor. He tells him that it seems an unusual request, but I think that we can help the person, and you are talking about the one fellow whom we have to help. That's it. Chap called Evans. Chap means here a boy, a guy, the person whom we are talking here, the name of the person is Evans. Now he says that he's talking about Evans started night classes in O level German last September. Says he's dead keen to get some sort of academic qualification. Now the governor tells to the secretary that he is talking about a prisoner whose name is Evans, and he has started his night classes in O level German he had started in last September, as he is very much keen to get academic qualification and he has demanded it. Is he any good? He was the only one in the class, so you can say he has had individual tuition all the time. Really, would have cost him a packet if he had been outside. Packet means here he would have to pay a large amount of money if he had been outside. Means now secretary wants to know if he was good, in O level German classes, and then governor said that he might surely be good because he is the only one student in the class and he is getting individual tuitions. And if he would have got these tuitions outside the prison, then he would have to pay large amount of money. Well, let's give him a chance, shall we? That's jolly kind of you. What exactly is the procedure now? So, now secretary agrees and he feels that they must give him a chance. And then governor thanks him that and also appreciates him by saying that it was very kind of him, and then he starts asking about the procedure. Oh, don't worry about that. I'll be sending you all the forms and stuff. What's his name? You say Evans? James Roderick Evans. It sounded rather grand. Now, secretary told him that he would send to the governor all the documents, all the forms that are needed for the exam, and then he asked about his name, and also he says that his name is Evans. Then Governor tells him the full name of Evans. It was James Roderick Evans, and it sounded very royal name. Just one thing, Governor. He is not a violent sort of fellow, is he? I don't want to know his criminal record or anything like that, but then secretary wants to know that if he was violent sort of person or not. Also he clears that he doesn't want to know about his criminal record, but he wants to know only one thing, whether he is violent or not. No, there is no record of violence. Quite a pleasant sort of chap, they tell me. Bit of a card, really. But now Governor appreciates and he says that there is no record of violence. He is not a violent kind of person. He is very pleasant person. As he has heard from the other people about him, and also he says that he is a bit of a card. Bit of a card means he is a humorous type of person. One of the stars at the Christmas concert. Imitations, you know, the sort of thing, Mike Yarwood stuff. And also he says that he is very jolly kind of person. Often he participates in the Christmas concerts. He is also having the quality of imitations. He imitates the others. And also he compares to Mike Yarwood stuff, who is known as a comic character. No, he is just a congenital kleptomaniac, that's all. Congenital means that is born with a particular disease. And kleptomaniac means a person who is suffering from a mental condition that causes a strong urge to steal. And this is the disease in him, that is the born disease, that is in-birth disease in him. The governor was tempted to add something else, but he thought better of it. He would look after that particular side of things himself. Now, even governor wanted to tell something more about Evans, but he stopped himself as he wanted to talk about something else. Presumably, said the secretary, you can arrange a room where? No problem. He is in a cell on his own. If you have no objections, he can sit the exam in there. That's fine. And we could easily get one of the parsons from St. Mary Max to invigilate if that's. Parsons means clergyman. And St. Mary Max is the name of a church that is in England. And now the secretary says that he can assume that he is a very good person. He is a jolly kind of person. And then he asks about that where is the arrangement for the examination, and also asked if he could arrange a room. Then governor said that there is no problem because he is in his own cell and he can sit for the exam in the cell. And then secretary also agrees. Then they decide that they would get one of the parsons, one of the clergymen from St. Mary Max church for the invigilation. Fine, yes. They seem to have a lot of parsons there, don't they? The two men chuckled good-naturedly, and the secretary had a final thought. Now, they both said that there are a lot of parsons, there are a lot of clergymen in the church, and they both started laughing. Chuckled means to laugh quietly. They started laughing quietly, and then secretary had a final thought. At least there is one thing. You shouldn't have much trouble keeping him incommunicado, should you? Incommunicado means not being allowed to communicate with other people. The governor chuckled politely once more, reiterated his thanks. Reiterated means repeated, and slowly cradled the phone. Cradled means here put the receiver of the phone on the instrument. Evans. While they both were talking, there was telephonic conversation, and now their conversation is complete. They both start laughing, and secretary agrees to take the examination of O level of Evans. Evans the Break, as the prison officer called him. He was called Evans the Break by the prison officers. Thrice he had escaped from prison, and but for the recent wave of unrest in the maximum security establishments up north, he wouldn't now be gracing the governor's premises in Oxford. And the governor was going to make absolutely certain that he wouldn't be disgracing them. Now, for the 3 times he had already escaped from the prison, and here also he would have done so from Oxford prison if there hadn't been unrest in the maximum security establishment up north. And now they were hoping that he wouldn't now be gracing the governor's premises in Oxford, and governor was also very certain that he wouldn't be disgracing them. Now he would not escape from the prison. They were very much assured now. Not that Evans was a real burden, just a persistent means obstinate, nagging means who always complains, irritates, who always find faults with others' presence. Evans was not a real burden on them, but he was obstinate kind of person, because as he always complains, he always find faults with others. He would be all right in Oxford, though the governor would see to it personally. And besides, there was just a possibility that Evans was genuinely interested in O-level German. Now, beside it, Evans was interested in learning O-level German language. Just a slight possibility, just a very slight possibility. But there was very slight possibility that he was interested in O-level German. He wanted to learn it. At 8:30 p.m. on Monday 7 June, Evans' German teacher shook him by the hand in the heavily guarded recreational block just across from D Wing. Now it was the time 8:30 p.m. It was Monday on 7th June. Evans' German teacher shook him by the hand and he shook him by the hand from D Wing, that was in the heavily guarded recreational block that was just across the D Wing. Guten Glick, Herr Evans. Pardon, I said good luck for tomorrow. Now, German teacher wishes him from the another wing in German language, but Evans doesn't understand the language, and then his teacher explains in his language, in English. He tells him good luck for tomorrow. Oh, thanks. Darkest Sean. Danke Sean. Now he also thanks his teacher, and then he speaks in German language. Thanks means Danke Sean. You haven't a cat in hell's chance of getting through, of course, but. And his teacher was not sure that he would pass in exam. Also, he says that here a cat in hell's chance of getting through means that he would not be successful in exams. There are hardly any chances to pass the exam. I may surprise everybody, said Evans. But Evans was very much confident, and he remarks that he would surely be successful, he would surely pass the exam. At 8:30 the following morning, Evans had a visitor. 2 visitors, in fact. He tucked his grubby string vest into his equally grubby trousers. Grubby means very dirty. And stood up from his bunk. Bunk means narrow bed where he was sitting. Smiling cheerfully, morning, Mr. Jackson. This is indeed an honor. Now, at 8:30 the following morning, 2 visitors came to his cell. As he saw them, he wished them, he smiled cheerfully, and also he stood up from his narrow bed, and he tucked his very dirty string vest into his very dirty trousers. And also, while wishing them, he told that it was really an honor that Mr. Jackson had visited him. Jackson was a senior prison officer on D Wing, and he and Evans had already become warm enemies. At Jackson's side stood Officer Stephens, a burly means very big, very strong, surly looking man. Surly means very bad tempered, very rude, only recently recruited to the profession. Now, the two officers, prison officers came to him, and one was Jackson, who was a senior prison officer on D Wing, and senior prison officer Jackson and Evans had already become warm enemies. And with Jackson, one more officer was there. He was Stephens, and he was, while in looking, he was not very good looking. He was bad tempered. He was looking very rude person. He was very big and fat person, and also he had recently recruited to this profession. Jackson nodded curtly. Curtly means very rudely. And how's our little Einstein this morning then? Now, uh, Jackson mocked him. He mockingly addressed him as Einstein. Wasn't he a mathematician, Mr. Jackson? I think he was a Jew, Mr. Jackson. As Mr. Jackson was trying to mock at him, in the same way, Evans also gave him answer by saying that Einstein was a mathematician, uh, and also he said that he thought that he was a Jew. Evans' face was unshaven, and he wore a filthy looking red and white bobble hat. Bobble means a small wooden ball used as a decoration on a hat. He was wearing a very filthy means very dirty looking red and white bobble hat on his head. Give me a chance, Mr. Jackson. I was just going to shave when you burst in. And then he tells Mr. Jackson that he was going to shave, and also told him that give him a chance so that he may shave, and also he was going to shave when they had entered his cell. Which reminds me, Jackson turned his eyes on Stephens. Make sure you take his razor out of the cell when he is finished scraping that ugly mug off his clear. And now Jackson tells Stephens that when he would shave his beard, then you will take his razor back from him, and you will take it out of the cell. One of these days he will do us all a favor and cut his bloody throat. And also he says that he may make a crime, so that's why you will take razor from him out of the cell, because he may do them a favor and cut his bloody throat. That is a crime in the eyes of Jackson, and as it may also put them in trouble. For a few seconds, Evans looked thoughtfully at the man standing ramrod straight in front of him. A string of Second World War medals proudly paraded over his left breast pocket. Mr. Jackson. Now, as Jackson told Stephens that he would take razor out of the cell, then Evans also started thinking something while he was looking at the man who was standing in front of him, standing ramrods. Ramrod means a person with a very straight back and looking very serious and formal. And also he was wearing a string of Second World War medals proudly paraded over his left breast pocket. Yes, it was Mr. Jackson. So he started thinking, and also he was continuously looking at Mr. Jackson. Was it you who took my nail scissors away? Evans had always worried about his hands. Now he was very sure that Jackson was saying that his razor would be taken out of the cell. Now he was very sure that his nail scissors would also have been taken by him, as he was always worried about his hands, as he was not able to trim his nails now. And your nail file too. Now Jackson told him that he had not only taken away his nail scissors, but he had taken his nail file too. Look, for a moment, Evans' eyes smoldered. Smoldered means burnt in anger. Smoldered dangerously, but Jackson was ready for him. Orders of the Governor Evans. He leaned forward and leered. Leered means he started looking at him unpleasantly, his voice dropping to a harsh, contemptuous means very scornful, hateful whisper, "You want to complain?" And then, as Jackson was also ready to listen the complaints of Evans, and then he told him that there are the orders of the governor, and then he leaned forward and then he asked him if he wanted to complain. Evans shrugged his shoulders lightly. The crisis was over. But now Evans didn't speak, but he shrugged his shoulders. "You have got half an hour to smarten yourself up, Evans, and take that bloody hat off." Now it was the time for his exam, so he told him that now you have half an hour, then you can look smart, you can make yourself smart. And now also while going, before going, you have to take your bloody hat off. The hat that he was wearing, that was very filthy hat, that was very bad hat, and that was very dirty hat. "Me, Ed? Oh." Evans put his right hand lovingly on top of the filthy woolen and smiled sadly. "Do you know, Mr. Jackson, it's the only thing that's ever brought me any sort of luck in life. Kind of lucky charm, if you know what I mean. And today I thought, well, with me exam and all that." But now Evans touched his filthy woolen hat, and then he started smilingly, and also he told Jackson that it was his lucky charm. It was a very lucky, the hat was very lucky in his life, and also even today he was thinking that he would take his hat with him while giving the exam. Buried somewhere in Jackson was a tiny core of compassion, and Evans knew it. But as Jackson was a very kind-hearted person, he was very compassionate, and even Evans also knew about it, because he knew that he would agree to take him the hat with him, so he demanded to take hat with him. Okay students, this is enough for the day, and I hope you have understood very well. And now I'll see you in the next session of this chapter.